Good morning, young fritters, old codgers, and corn dodgers. How's everybody doing today? Let's pull this right on around here. There we go. Hope everybody's doing well. And great day here. Got a little wind blowing and a few clouds coming in. It was sunny early. Had some sunshine. And, another great day that the good Lord's given us, and we'll enjoy it. And life. Great old song Johnny Cash did. It's an old, I think, folk song. And Johnny Cash has a great cut on it. Called That Lucky Old Sun. Up in the morning, out on the job, work like the devil for my pay. That lucky old sun ain't got nothing to do, roll around heaven all day. Fuss for my woman, toil for my kids, sweat till I'm wrinkled and gray. But that lucky old sun ain't got nothing to do, roll around heaven all day. Lord above, can't you see I'm crying? Tears are in my eyes. Send down a cloud with a silver lining, take me to paradise. Show me that river, lead me across, take all my troubles away. And like that lucky old sun, I'll have nothing to do, roll around heaven all day. I'm up in the morning, out on the job, work like the devil for my pay. That lucky old sun ain't got nothing to do, roll around heaven all day. Yeah, that lucky old sun ain't got nothing to do, roll around heaven all day. Yeah, that's one of those good old Johnny Cash recordings that he did. It's just great stuff. Great old song. I think when I was a child, I think Tennessee Ernie Ford, a guy named Tennessee Ernie Ford did it. And he was a great singer. My mom used to be on the TV in the late 50s and early 60s when I was a kid. I hope you guys got your coffee boiling and your beans bubbling today. And that everything's well where you are. Miss Laurie made me a German chocolate cake yesterday. Woohoo! I mean, we talked about it back at my birthday, and I didn't, just forgot about it, never did do it. And I was kind of watching the waistline. I didn't really want a cake, but boy, it's good. I'm going to have to share it and pawn it off on somebody else so much of it isn't in here. I'm going to write a letter, mail it to my heart. Dear wounded one, that's how it's gonna start. I'm writing you for both of us, trying not to let you down. Surely there's a ray of hope. Surely some way can be found. I'll write a letter to my heart, the one that's so torn up. You're the one that's always strong. When life's going gets rough, well, I've got to find the words. That's the hardest part. To find the right thing to say in a letter to my heart. Well, you've been through so much, but you always made it through. And yes, this time you don't know what to do. Even the strongest heart can break. There's no shame in the pain. I know you can do it. There's gotta be a way. I'll write a letter to my heart, the one that's so torn up. You're the one that's always strong. When life's going gets rough, oh, I've got to find the words. That's the hardest part. Find the right thing to say in a letter to my heart. Send that out to Sonia Snow. She always asks for that song. And we'd like to thank everybody. That's the new orders for Did I Sleep on My 66 Ford for this and reading it online. We really appreciate that. And folks have been reading that one online. And the new book, one called Bear, and people are reading it on the internet, on their Kindles, and we appreciate that so much. And we appreciate all the orders and the orders on Amazon and direct from me for the new book, one called Bear. Thank you for the good reviews, and those are available. Two of the books in the series are available on Barnes & Noble, Blue Mountains of Dan and Clinging to Dirt and Breathing Air, or on Barnes & Noble, available there. A couple of good friends of ours, Dale and Trish Wright, they like this song, and send this out to them today. There's a rusty old tractor sitting there in his barn, still covered in dirt from working on his farm. There's an old faded calendar, Johnson's hardware store, still says July 1954. There's a piece of that ladder I climbed where he couldn't see, smoked my first and last cigarette and I turned John Deere green. No, he never told Mama. When he caught me, he just laughed. Said, son, that won't make you a man. Today the sun was shining as the family gathered round. Teardrops were falling as we laid him in the ground. But I knew where I could come to be with things close to his heart. There's a lifetime of memories in Grandpa's barn. I rolled back the cover of his long white Cadillac. 10 years old, he let me steer, sitting there on his lap. There's a picture of Grandma he kept there in the dash. An old 8-track, his favorite Johnny Cash. And in the corner of his tack room, underneath his cross, there's a worn-out Holy Bible, the one that saved him when he was lost. He said, remember, son, you gotta get down on your knees and thank God for the blessings you receive. Today the sun was shining as we lay together round. Teardrops were falling as we laid him in the ground. But I knew where I could come to be with things close to his heart. There's a lifetime of memories in Grandpa's barn. That with the Roys, we just loved having that cut on them. They're such great people, and they were several years in a row. They were Christian country group of vocal duo of the year, and over there, and they would have the award show down in the old Maxwell House Hotel in Nashville, where long ago Teddy Roosevelt stayed there, and they had had that Maxwell House coffee they had just started selling. And he said, good to the last drop. And that stuck for many, many years as their commercial. They would have the award shows there, and got to see Dole Lawson and Quicksilver there. And we loved that they recorded our song Americana and put it on their In Session album. And we were happy to get a Grammy nomination on that album, and that was great to be a part of for the album. And he cut Americana and put it on there. I enjoyed that. You know, one of my good friends played guitar in his band, and he kept telling me, he said, man, Doyle is singing your song Americana on the bus all the time as we're rolling. And so I thought, I mean, he did an album after they told me that, and he didn't put it on there. So I thought, well, I don't know, maybe one day. And sure enough, I was on the internet one day, and just looking around. Sometimes I'll search songs just to see what's been done, what's out there that I may not know about. And up it popped on this one site. It said Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver, Americana, that they had cut it, you know. And I had nobody told me, you know, it was great. I was like, all right. And I went and looked it up and sent him a message. And Doyle sent me a message back and said that song, he loved that song for many years. He said that it said things that he loved and wanted to say about his country and how he felt. So that was just great. I love Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver doing that. Yep, you can, like I said, order today. If you want to order direct from me, you can get it from me autographed. The new book, one called Bear, and it's the 6th book in the Blue Mountain series. the Appalachian Mountain Stories, and we run around in history. We have a little time travel in these books, and you're at events that are truly happened in history. And we've had a bunch of new orders for Did I Sleep in My 66 Ford for this, that tells my story. Wrote the notes on the back of the book, and that was a great honor for him to do that. Those of you that don't know Jerry Kennedy, he was a great producer. If you know the record Pretty Woman on Roy Orbison, he's the one playing that big guitar sound, boom, down, down, down. And he produced people like Roger Miller, Tom T. Hall, the Statler Brothers, Reba McEntire. He was president of Mercury Records. I used to go to Jerry's office and with appointments and pitch him, bring him songs for people. But we never did talk. We never play the songs. He'd listen. He could listen when he was ready. Had time. I didn't worry about that. We were talking about Dale Earnhardt and racing. We were both big stock car fans and big Dale Earnhardt Sr. Big fans of him. So we'd end up talking the whole time about racing and stuff. And then I'd leave, and then he'd, called and said, "Hey, I want to cut this on Mo Bandy Monday," something like that, That's how we'd do that. We'd talk about things while I was there visiting that we liked, And then he would listen. I knew he'd listen to the songs later, so I didn't worry about it. And when he found something he liked, well, he'd play it for his artist. You have to get through a lot of people to get a song recorded. Everybody's got to like it. The artist's got to want to do it and all that. So it's an amazing thing, and you're just so thankful when it happens, that people do it. And just a great pleasure to know people like Jim, get to see him. I know a long time ago, I came out here when I was sleeping in my Ford. What this book is about is that I slept in my 66 Ford down by the riverfront in Nashville when I just turned 18. Turned 18 years old while I was staying here in town and sleeping in my car. And then later I got a boarding house room out on Music Row. And but that's what this is about. And I tried to see Jerry one day. Of course, I didn't know anybody, and I did not get to see the president of the label, and might not have been ready anyway with what level of songwriting I was doing. But I was a go-getter. I was pushing to get through that door, and I knew who he was from records, and he produced Tom T. Hall, my favorite he was my favorite artist at that time, early 70s. Tom T. Hall was hot. He was great. I love his songwriting to this day. Songs like the Ballad of $40, and trouble is, if a fellow owed me $40, Week in the Country Jail, such fun songs. And of course, he wrote Hopper Valley PTA and Old Dogs, Children, Watermelon Wine, so many things. Great songwriter, and a big influence on me learning to write as a kid, a teenager. Got to meet him. He was really so generous with his time, and he was a gentleman to my wife's sister. We went out to the Opry one night, took them, and he was so pleasant to them. He stood and took time with them, took pictures with them, and was good to them. I had met him. A friend of mine drove the bus for him, Joe Collins. But also played piano in his band. But Joe had his CDL, so he would drive the bus at times. And Joe set it up so we could meet. And I had my dog tags on and a green Army like shirt. And so he called me the soldier. And I told him, I'd written Americana, and it was really, really nice that a great writer like he would say that that's a great song. He said Americana was a great song. And of course, for a kid, when I was a kid, admiring him and learning from him, that was a hoot for me for him to say that. And then later, a few years later, while I had met him, so we took my wife's family out to the Opry, and we they could talk to him, take pictures with him. And he was real gracious. I know one camera didn't work, and he was just very patient. Took his time till we got something working, and they could have their picture. But great talent, great writer, and such a mentor and influence on so many of us in the business, And song that I re-released again. I keep putting Dixie Dan out on different things, and this is the new CD that's out called Prodigal Son. I have put a version of it that no one had ever heard. I did it back several years ago in a little 4-track T-Act studio and stuff. It was, this was before Pro Tools. It had some effects on it and stuff than any other cut on that's been out on it. And I know Jerry Kennedy, I don't know, Alan Jackson took this home with him. I played it at a Christmas party at the country club there in Franklin. I was writing for Keith Stegall with his company, and they had us all get up and do some of our songs. And he and both Keith Stegall and Alan Jackson came up by there, and they had a tear in their eye, and they said, "Man, that's one of the best songs I ever heard, best written songs." So that was great, for them to say that, and they loved it. It's kind of pictures of where I grew up on Depot Street, Mount Airy, North Carolina, and that time period in life. Well, it was down in North Carolina, down where the chalk tobacco grows, where the pine trees smell so sweet, dirty old lumber train whistle blows. Dixie Dan was a friend of mine. We were both young those days. And that time before mankind came and took our youth away. Catching tadpoles in a mason jar, running around with June bugs on the string. All the days were long and hot. Life was not a complicated thing. Chasing chickens round a lumber yard in a time when times are not so hard to stand. With the morning dew between our toes, we go fishing, me and Dixie Dan. Running through the meadow patch, looking for buried treasure by the road. We were cowboys in the backyard, riding an old dead log in a rodeo. Dixie Dan, let's go, I'd yell. We'd both run barefoot across the fields, digging fishing worms in the riverbank, laid back listening to whippoorwill. They carried Dixie Dan out in the yard, one of Papa's dirty factory working shows. I sit on the back porch crying, my old heart hurt. We laid Dixie Dan on the sandbed by the river where we used to run and play. Oh, Dixie Dan, can't we ramble one more time before you go away? Dixie Dan was the very best dog a young boy ever had. that one, and wrote that one morning about 20 minutes. It all just fell out back in the day when I was playing a little music with Wayne Seacrest. He would later be the bass player in Confederate Railroad with Danny Shirley and the boys. He was working late nights and playing music for a living, and I woke him up early in the morning and played him that song, and he was like, "Oh man, you cannot be serious. That is really great." He's the first person that ever heard it. And at first he was like, "Well, call me," you know. And then he was like, "Oh man," when I played it, he said, "Thanks, man. That's great." So I was walking early this morning up the path out of the cabin home. And I was thinking, years have passed, dear, growing old, soon I'll be gone. I won't need this cabin anymore. I won't need this cabin anymore. Looking out my cabin window, Smoky Valley stretched out below. And when the angels come and take me, I'll go higher than this mountain when I go. I won't need this cabin anymore. I won't need this cabin anymore. I won't need this anymore. I won't need, ain't gonna need, I won't need this cabin anymore. And we got sent out some CDs to my good friend Ricky Easter, or I'll be sending them. Post office closed today for Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day, everybody! And we appreciate all the people who have served in our country, and we just want to say Happy Veterans Day. And that's a song on an album that Carl Jackson was good enough to come in and sing with me on that song, the cabin song, and man, he tore it up. You know, he's such a great singer and talent. You know, and we just sent that over to a box of CDs from my good friend in North Carolina, Ricky Easter. Some of the folks in his church over there, they had got some when we were home in North Carolina, and they wanted some more. And I told them, we'll just send them over to you, and you just enjoy them. But that cabin song, we enjoyed writing that. My grandfather told me back when I was a kid, I wrote it for him. The stories he told me about being in the mountains and living in the mountains as a boy. Had been about 1919 because he was about 10 years old. And he was born in 1909, and that snow blowing the cracks in the cabin of where he lived in his cabin there in the Blue Ridge Mountains up above Mount Airy, which is Mayberry, but up on toward Hillsville. They were up Fancy Gap. they called it, and up over toward Woodlawn, that way. And he talked about how the snow would blow in the cracks of the boy. He'd stay under that blanket, of course, trying not to get that on him. But he would ride with his daddy in the wagon. His daddy was an iceman, delivered ice to people. Had their what you called the ice box in those times. And it was simply a square box, and you put the block ice in there and set stuff on it. And that was the ice box. And his daddy was an iceman. So he would ride the wagon with him, delivering to everybody. They'd go down to the ice house, they called it, and pick up the load and go out and deliver them to the route that he had, people. So he told me those stories, and so I wrote that for him, the cabin song. Wouldn't need this cabin anymore one day, you know. And it's beautiful. We took a little ride the other day. The trees are changing here. I know the mountains have got to be gorgeous at home now. And if you're in Tennessee and you went to Gatlinburg, I'm sure it's great over there. Where my home is, you go on up north past Bristol and over to Withville, they call it, Withville, Virginia, on I-77. You turn down across the top of the Blue Ridge Mountain right there, and you're in Mayberry. You're in Andy Griffith's hometown. About 25 minutes from where you get on to I-77 up top of the mountain up there before it. And you roll over by the Blue Ridge Parkway, and it's a beautiful country. And, you know, it makes you want to just, makes you think of, when I think of the mountains, I think of my Granny Alderman. Meletta was her name. She was a sweetheart. But her favorite song in the world, and every time I go over to her house, I'd take my guitar, and she'd want me to sing this song for her. Well, it takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. Well, I went across the river, laid me down to sleep. I went across the river, laid me down to sleep. I went across the river, and I laid me down to sleep. When I woke up, I had shackles on my feet. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. There's 21 links of chain wrapped around my leg. Oh, 21 links of chain wrapped around my leg. There's 21 links of chain wrapped around my leg. On each link, the initial of my name. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. Yeah, it takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. Oh, it takes a worried man to sing a worried song. I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. Now, one of her favorites. She was such a sweet granny. You know how you grandmothers are, and of course at home now, Mom wouldn't give us no coffee. You know, a little. I'm probably 8 years old. I'd stay at Granny's house times, and I'd mow her yard with that. It was a push. The old push thing was a blade. You pushed it manually, and it turned. But you pushing the wheels turning, had a cog in it, and it turned the blades. You were the power. But I would mow her yard for her with that, and I stayed over there. And she'd pack me she was such a sweetheart. She'd have to pack me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in a little sack to go outside and mow the yard or be out playing around the woods or anything. And she was just a darling. But she would give me coffee, and I thought I was getting over, getting something. But I know, really what it was a whole bunch of sugar and milk and a little bit of coffee. But it was just enough to look dark, in there or something where I felt like I was getting coffee, And she'd give me that when I stayed over there at her house. Of course, her husband, my papa, Alderman, we called him, Glenn Alderman. And speaking of Veterans Day, he was a veteran of D-Day at Utah Beach. And of course, as a kid, I didn't know, what he had gone through or anything. But he was, he's a strong man. I'd stay over there. He didn't say a lot, but he was a role model for me of strength. And I didn't know till actually years later what he had encountered, and where he had been at Utah Beach and D-Day, and many, many years. Morning, brother, Mark Alderman. Good morning, man. And we're doing this on YouTube. It's a little more lonely. Less people come on to the stream on YouTube so far, but I'm going to build up because it's a much better stream. And hopefully we'll get folks to move over here, and then they can, of course, play it back on Facebook when they want to. And they've been doing that last week, but this is our second week to do, or second. I'll say second. I know Teddy Wilburn, he was a Grand Ole Opry star, but I wrote for their company as a kid, a teenager. And he did a demo on me several years later. We came to Nashville, but I had a song called Second Fiddle Woman, and he went, say that word? I said, second. He said, where'd you get that? It's a sack, like a poke? I said, no, second. First, second, third. So he's messing with me about the way I say second, But I said, man, they'll be making fun of my North Carolina talk, I don't know if it's North Carolina or just the way I said it, but we had a good time. And our little first daughter was a little baby then, and there was an Opry star back there changing her diaper in the studio and holding her. And they were at the controls while I was out there. We recorded. I had a job in Evansville, Indiana during the day, and I played music at night. I went round the clock working, but I wanted my wife to stay home with the babies, and I didn't want her to work. I wanted her to be home with the children. So I worked, couple, 2 and 3 times, at one point 3 jobs, and that's what you ought to do. But they said to do that session on me, so it was my first session ever in Nashville. Hilltop Studios had the Grand Ole Opry staff band was a musician. And I was in hog heaven, Jerry Whitehurst on the piano, just those guys that played on the Grand Ole Opry. That was the staff band on the Opry. And he had them in there in the studio. But I only had the night to come down and do it because we came down, I guess it was, I don't know what day, whether I worked that day, but we came down that evening. They had a place for us to stay in a terrible area in Nashville. I was like, what are y'all thinking? But we did the studio that night. I did all night until about, I don't know what time, but middle of the night. And got in the car, drove home back up to Evansville. It's about 2 hours drive, a little more. And then got in there, took a shower, and was at work at 6:50 a.m., punched in at 6:50, boom, every morning in the factory. But that night we had done, I think we did 16 songs all night, just kept rolling, just getting all we could get done, because I didn't live in Nashville, so we had to get all we could get done right then of the songs he wanted. So that day I went back, been up all night, singing and playing, but I was pumped, I was all right. And I did that session with him and went back to work. I was there at 6:50 a.m. in the morning, punching in to work on the line there. But it was a funny situation there, about unions. I belonged to the machinist union. It's kind of funny. You had to join the musicians union. The machinist union to work in that factory. I'm like, okay, it's kind of like the plant and the union is in cahoots, But it was so funny. There were a heat and air conditioning unit. And I built a big old unit that went to Saudi Arabia, and it was 14 foot tall. They would send it to me. It was packaged up. The unit, the motors, everything were on there. I would do the piping and the refrigerant and hook up the pipes on it, and then I would frame it. There were louver doors in the thing, and frame it and set it up, put it up, and then I would box it and call for the buddy truck to ship it to Saudi Arabia or wherever. Big old huge unit, and I enjoyed. It was good work. I enjoyed building that. It was doing something with your hands. But it was so funny, heating and air conditioning. Well, it was a lot of it was air conditioning. So they decided we're going to go on strike. The union said we're striking over something. I don't even know what it was about. Didn't care. And so they take us out on strike at an air conditioning. I'm building air conditioning, in the winter. I thought that was just odd. It's funny. I'm sure it was summer in Saudi Arabia, but whatever. And hot, but still. So we're out there for $40 a week strike pay. We usually made about, we were making $7.80 an hour in 1974, 75. Good money. And here we are standing around a fire barrel trying to stay warm for $40 a week. And it was like, there's something wrong here. Well, we decided they were sending parts in. We decided one night, a bunch of us, we'd set a whole bunch of them, took the buddy trucks and forklifts. We picked up the big tubs full of metal parts and supplies and scraps, and we line them up on the railroad track, and we'd stop them, that bunch from that company, from bringing in parts and supplies, and they had scab people, they call them, coming to work. So we said, we'll fix their wagon and the railroad. Well, we was all standing around the barrel. We were pretty pleased with ourselves, we showing that company, and up walked the marshal, and they showed us his badge. He was a federal marshal. He said, boys, he said, you guys are working men. He said, I'll give you a few minutes. You get them off there, I don't see nothing. But he said, that's a federal offense. You're blocking a federal right of way. And, it's a felony. And we was like, well, let's get on the forklift and move them off, But he was kind enough. He didn't charge none of us, That's what unions will do to you. For $40 a week, you're standing out around the barrel trying to stay warm. We showed that company. But yes, like I said earlier, thanks everybody. A lot of new orders have come for Did I Sleep in My 66 Ford for this? And I appreciate that. People are reading on their Kindles online. I'd like to thank some folks for good reviews on the new book, one called Bear. We appreciate that so much. It's doing well. We've had orders here. I did a shipping them out. And thanks so much to, I know Bob Vincent in England. He's got everything I've written. And he's kind of like Miss Mildred in North Carolina. He likes them and has been kind to me. And he's given me a great review. He said he was enjoying that story and that page. And I was waiting to see what he thought of the ending. I ain't going to tell y'all, but the ending's a little crazy, this time. I'm having a little fun, We'll see what happens. But where it goes from there. But such great people. We had somebody in India did a Sleep with 66 Ford for this. They're reading it. We've had several shipments and people buying to India. Of course, they're buying it in Amazon India. They're not from me. I pretty quickly figured out why you folks need to order from your Amazon or your book there, because it gets expensive to ship international, and I have to charge too much for my friends. I don't want people to pay that much, so we're trying to keep it so it's affordable and people just enjoy them. And but that was great. We had a bunch of sales, France and Germany, and just appreciate that so much. And it's really interesting to me. Italy had a sale in Italy, and that's not the first time. So I don't know who lives there. Someday I hope they contact me on here or somewhere and say who they are, because it's really interesting when you see the foreign countries, stuff. People there that are buying your stuff. I had a song, some new song downloads in mainland China, and pay none, they don't understand. But that was fun this week. I get reports, from the streaming, where they're streaming songs, and it was Thailand, mainland China, France, Germany, a bunch of neat places. Norway. It's fun to see all that. Just standing in a tobacco field when you're a kid saying I'm gonna do that. Well, it really is fun it's fun, for me to see my songs. Somebody in another country like that is listening. Japan. Now I've got a couple of people that follow me on here, and sometimes they're on the watching Cowboy Coffee Time. It's like after midnight, and by now it's almost midnight when we start this show here in Japan. Masahiro Ishikawa. I always say Watamasca Masahiro-san. Watamasca when he comes on. He's a fan. He was looking forward to. He was going to order. I haven't heard from him, but he was going to read Blue Mountains of Dan, because in it I talk about that, and also in Clinging to Dirt and Breathing Air. Well, we get goes to Japan, So he was looking forward to reading those, and hopefully one day soon I'll hear from him. He can tell me what he thought. I hope he liked them, But see what he thought. I have samurai, stuff in Clinging to Dirt and Breathing Air. Thought I'd do one today that Waylon liked this song, or his producer. I don't know which. You hear something, but you don't know for sure. There was another song that I met Waylon about. He said, "Come have coffee," called "Whatever Don't Kill Me Makes Me Stronger." And I know that one. This one, his drummer and manager Richie Albright took to him. And hopefully they cut these someday. They'll come out, in the can, So Richie said for sure they had done a track on "Whatever Don't Kill Me." This one I don't know. Hope so. Riding on the Southbound Plane to Miami, FLA. Stewardess pours my coffee and I'm trying to think of something cool to say. Short dress she's wearing catches my eye as she leads across the aisle, winks a grin at me. Hey, we're just hookers and hopefuls and Christians and liars, busted down, never can be free. Are we just hookers and hopefuls and Christians and liars, never really knowing what to be? You can read it in your papers every morning of your life. Divorce rates and crime, recession and everybody's rights. Well, people are all worried about some things. All I've ever got to say, keep telling myself there's gotta be a better way than being hookers and hopefuls and Christians and liars, busted down, never can be free. Are we just hookers and hopefuls and liars and Christians, never really knowing what to be? Riding on the Southbound Plane to Miami, FLA. Yeah, my good friend Wayne Seacrest, the late Wayne Seacrest, he was the bass player for Confederate Railroad, and he's Johnny Rodriguez band, long way back when he was a kid and young, starting in the business. But he took this song to the drummer, Flasher, called Chris Deal, and Waymore's band, the Waymores, and they played it for Waylon, and I was up there working in the factory in Evansville. And he said, they said that he said, why is he up there? This is as good as stuff, as what they're writing here in town. I'll be here, And it was really neat because he and Tom Paul, Waylon Jennings and Tom Paul Glacier, was when Tom Paul had a song out. It was been 1977. They were the first to have a platinum album, the Outlaw album, and Wanted, it was called. And it was Jesse Coulter, Willie Nelson, Tom Paul Glacier, and Waylon Jennings, on it. And but anyway, they came. We were fronting for them. We opened the show that they played at the Executive Inn, in Evansville, Indiana when I was there. And this after they had played him that song. I didn't get we didn't see him or talk to Waylon that night. I saw Tom Paul come by, and well, I don't know what pills he's taking. Later, I'd be friends with Tom Paul. Many years later, he helped work on an album that they were cutting on me at they would call it Hillbilly Central, the studio that Waylon and he cut in all the time. But that night, he had that record out, Put Another Log on the Fire, wrapped me up some bacon, some beans, and that was on that album. And I saw them that night. We opened for them, and they had given him a couple more songs of mine to Waylon. And it just kept on. Friends around me kept sending songs through channels to him, And many years later, I actually did get to know him a little bit. I didn't run with Waylon. We don't tell Fiddle on CoWBoy all the time. We weren't running buddies. But I had a duster that I wore on stage, and he loved it. I went through the studio one day, running something over from Loretta's office, and he was recording, and he was like, gave me the high sign. Oh man, that coat, because he liked the Civil War stuff too. He's big in the Civil War, and actually that was the day that he had pulled the song "Whatever Don't Kill Me Makes Me Stronger" out, and he told me that day. He said, "Man, come by the office sometime and have coffee." So I was going down, of course, around a star. It's good luck with that, because people are just they kind of try to protect them, and they're busy, So but I saw his gold. He had a gold colored Cadillac, and it was real distinctive. You could see it with stuff on that Cadillac. It was a great looking car. So I went by his office one day on Music Row, and I saw that car sitting there, and I went, you know what? If Waylon said come have coffee with him, I'm gonna stop and say hey. So I pulled down, went up to the door, and they had the door locked. It turned out he was having a meeting with his New York manager. He had this abrupt kind of New York manager, which didn't throw me off. But anyhow, I just the girl, I forgot her name now, but she worked the front desk. She opened the door just a little, and she said, "Waylon's in a meeting," and I just did the old country boy thing where, you ain't leaving, but you're being nice. And I said, "Well, just tell him it's Larry Alderman. I wrote Whatever Don't Kill Me." So door shuts, and then in a few minutes out, the door opens a little bit, and it's that New York manager, Neil, something was his name. And he said, "Mr. Jennings is in a meeting," and I was just like, well, just tell him it's Larry Alderman, I wrote Whatever Don't Kill Me, and I just digging my heels in. I wasn't leaving, And anyhow, he goes back, he shuts the door. He wasn't happy. And in a minute, the door comes wide open, and it's Waylon, way more himself, Waylon. And we stood and talked for about 20 minutes on the porch. I didn't have the coffee, but he was in a meeting, and I probably shouldn't have interrupted, I was stubborn. But anyhow, we was talking. What I remember is one thing I said, I said, "Man, I used to do your songs on flatbed truck in Eckerd's parking lot in Mount Airy, when I was a kid, and on a flatbed truck." And he said, "I did too," and I reminded him of a song. He's got a great song he recorded way back in the 60s, early in his career, and it's called "Days of Sand and Shovels," and it's a love song about a girl that they've loved each other since they were little kids in the sandbox, and he said, "Man, I hadn't thought of that song in years." So over the next few years, while Waylon was real, they recorded that one in the studio that hasn't ever come out, Whatever Don't Kill Me. And just to, he'd see me in the studio and see me. And he was in another little office behind Loretta's office, the Carty brothers that were friends of his. And there was a pinball machine in the back hallway. And I'd be running through there to take a song through, so we were recording or something. And I'd see him all the time, but you don't bother, man, a pinball machine. Both had this song, and they both said they was going to cut it. And what happened? Well, one day I played this song for Waylon Jennings' brother, Tommy Jennings. At that time, Tommy was managing him, and he came by Loretta's, and I said, "Man, I got one that Hoss ought to hear," And he took it down there to Waylon. And on somewhere between Loretta's office and Waylon's house, Tommy got the big idea him and his brother could do a duet on it. Well, okay. But went over to MCA Records the next week, and Don, the guy that was the A&R man that listened to songs for Waylon, he said, "Oh man," he said, "Tom this up. He said, Waylon not going to do any duet right now with him. And he said, I was going to play this song for him today. Wednesday. I was there on Monday, I think. But that's how things roll. But then they said Waylon and Hank found out they both had this song.